The first funeral for a victim of the Bondi antisemitic terrorist attack. British-born Rabbi Eli Schlanger had helped to organise Sunday's Hanukkah by the Sea event. A few blocks away from the beach where he and 14 other Jews were murdered, thousands gathered to lay to rest the 41-year-old father of 5. His youngest child was born just 2 months ago. The synagogue was so full, mourners spilled out onto the street, watching the service on a live stream.
His daughter is in my daughter's class in school. We had to explain to her yesterday that her friend's dad is no longer with us, no longer coming home. This isn't a normal situation. I don't think people understand that we have terrorism on our doorstep.
He just wanted to bring light to this community. He was proudly Jewish. He just had a 5th child just weeks ago, and now his wife is a widow. And we are tremendously sad at the loss of such a great member, a pillar of our community. So it's devastating.
A few hours later, a funeral for a second rabbi, 39-year-old father of 4, Yaakov Levitan, who was also targeted and gunned down. Rabbis Levitan and Schlanger had not only been colleagues, the congregation was told how close their families were, with their now widows having been best friends since high school. More funerals will take place in the coming days. At the Bondi waterfront, mourners continue to gather to pay their respects to those who were murdered on Australia's most famous beach. A symbol of the relaxed, sunny and cohesive lifestyle this country is known for, turned into a scene of tragedy. Some of the bereaved have returned here. Michael and Valentina's 10-year-old daughter Matilda was viewing the animals at the event's petting zoo when she was murdered. She was the youngest victim.
Like, she's running around happy, and then second what I see before my eyes is she's lying on the ground, and I just can't explain how it happened. And we heard some
the shots,
but we thought maybe it's just someone decided, just bad joke, like, you know, just
or fireworks or something.
Fireworks, something like, yes, like, and my first reaction was, who can do that next to this event? So because all Jewish community is traumatized by this sound.
I wrapped my shirt and I was talking to her because she was in shock. She was in shock. She was telling me that it's hard to breathe, and I was holding her, and I was like, calm down, please, please, please. I was trying to pull her out, but the shooting would just not stop. We were looking where the cops were. There were no cops.
20 people injured in the attack remain in hospitals across Sydney, with one person still in a critical condition. 24-year-old Naveed Akram, the surviving suspect, has now regained consciousness. His first court hearing has taken place by his hospital bedside. He's been charged with 59 offences, including 15 counts of murder, 40 charges of grievous bodily harm, and 1 of committing a terrorist act. The case has been adjourned until next April. Investigations are ongoing into a trip to the Philippines he and his deceased father, fellow attacker Sajid Akram, took last month. It's alleged the pair potentially underwent some kind of military training in the south of the country, something denied by the Philippines government.
Of course, the president strongly rejects the sweeping statement and the misleading characterization of the Philippines as the ISIS training hotspot.
Bondi is Australia's deadliest shooting since the 1996 Port Arthur massacre. That attack led to fundamental changes to the country's gun laws. The Premier of the state of New South Wales is recalling Parliament next week to pass stricter laws, not just on guns, but protests too.
My responsibility right now is both community safety and community harmony, and I have to explore all possible ways of ensuring that we lower the temperature in New South Wales and Sydney, that there are opportunities to come together, and that, for example, slogans or protests or marches don't tip into hate speech and further exacerbate an already combustible, difficult environment.
Very strong.
Prime Minister Albanese visited Ahmed al-Ahmed, the Syrian immigrant who managed to disarm the older attacker. Albanese is facing criticism that his centre-left government did not do enough to prevent the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia during the 2 years of the Israel-Gaza conflict.
We need to learn any lessons that are learnt from this, undertake stronger action, undertake any legislative change, undertake any powers, additional powers that are needed across the board. To work with the Jewish community, we want to stamp out and eradicate anti-Semitism from our society. We want to also stamp out the evil ideology of what would appear to be, from the investigators, an ISIS-inspired attack. That has no place, that sort of hatred.
Australia, one of the world's safest countries, has been shaken by events on this beach this week. This diverse community is pausing to reflect, while trying to carry on as normally as possible in defiance. For its Jewish members, this means continuing to sing and light the menorah candles each night. But longer term, Jews in Australia are wondering, if they're not safe here, are they safe anywhere? We're joined now by Sarah Van Unu, an Israeli emissary for the Jewish National Fund of Australia. Her son's bar mitzvah was taking place just 50 metres from the Bondi Beach shooting. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Firstly, can you tell us your family's experience of Sunday?
Sure, thank you for having me. Sunday was a very important evening, first night of Hanukkah. It was the first weekend of the summer holidays here, at least for my kids' school here in Sydney. And we held our son's bar mitzvah at the Bondi Pavilion at Bondi Beach. He's the first boy in his grade to have a bar mitzvah, and as the Israel emissary, I decided everyone is invited. We invited the whole grade. So it was a large one. We had about 200 people there, 100 of whom were children, 12-year-old kids. And people arrived at around 6 p.m. and after everyone came, the music started. We had a DJ and there was dancing, traditional dancing that you see in bar mitzvahs. We had the Israel flag and we had my son being raised on a chair and a lot of wonderful energy and great atmosphere. And then at about 15 minutes into it, the gunshot started really loud. We heard the gunshots and then we saw people flee. And in that stampede, many of the children also fled. But the look on people's faces, we could tell immediately something wasn't right here. We were in lockdown for almost 2 hours, actually, and there was a lot of confusion. We had people that ran into the venue from the beach and from the Hanukkah candle lighting event that was next door in the park. We knew instantly this was a terrorist attack, an anti-Semitic attack. But it was a miracle in some sorts. I know it's strange to say that, and it might sound insensitive so soon after the event, but I honestly believe that had we not had the bar mitzvah at the venue where we had it and when we had it, many of us, myself included, my family, many of the guests, would have been at that candle lighting Hanukkah by the Sea event that was in the park next door. So the bar mitzvah saved many lives. It became a refuge and a shelter.
Australia is one of the safest countries in the world. You have quite strict gun laws, but yet this tragedy still happened. Jewish people in the country have been saying that there's been a rise in anti-Semitism over the past 2 years. Have you experienced that, and was this something that you were expecting?
Absolutely. Since October 8, 2023, when angry mobs crowded at the steps of the Opera House yelling, "Gas the Jews, kill the Jews," it was writing on the wall. We've had synagogues burnt, cars firebombed, Jewish leaders, their homes targeted, Jewish businesses attacked. The list continues. Horrible protests, weekly demonstrations, children targeted and abused, made fun of, graffiti everywhere outside Jewish schools, Anti-Semitism has hit a high, and as much as we are all in despair and sad for what happened and horrified for the families of the victims and the entire community, we're also very angry because not enough has been done, and that anti-Semitism reached this point and it couldn't have been prevented.
Your state premier and the Prime Minister of your country are pledging not only a crackdown on gun laws, but also on protests and anti-Semitism. Do you think that this is too little, too late? And what is it that you hope that they will actually do now?
The issue, the bigger issue, is anti-Semitism. Cracking down on radicalization, cracking down on what's okay to take place at universities, hate speech. People wanted to globalize the Intifada, you got it. Now you've got, what, 15, 16 bodies, killed in front of a family event. A 10-year-old girl's funeral is tomorrow. Her parents named her Matilda because it was the most Australian name they could think of when they named her. And she has died in the most un-Australian way possible.
Do you sense that maybe there will be some amongst your friends who might be thinking, well, is Australia for us now?
I do think that there are always those that will consider that Israel is their home. And I myself, I was born here in Sydney, Australia, and I moved to Israel when I was 20, and I've lived there half my life. Israel is the home for the Jewish people, but that's not to say that Australia is not a home for Jews as well. Jews have played a very important role in every facet of community and society life here in Australia. Of course, there is a place for Jewish Australians, but there is no place for terrorism. That's what needs to be stamped out.
And just finally, we understand that the perpetrator has been charged now with a number of offences. There will be a trial, we think, at some point next year. In terms of trying to keep things calm before then, trying to make sure that that process goes as smoothly as possible for not just the wider community, but the victims' families, what do you hope to see change in the discussions, in the sort of approaches that are taken in Australia by politicians, by the media, by social media companies?
When it comes to the current government, current Prime Minister, current Foreign Minister, we don't see support for the Jewish people the way that we should. We see lip service. And I think what really needs to happen is a strong display of solidarity. This is not the Australia that people want to be raising their kids in, surely. I really hope that this moment is a watershed moment, a wake-up call for people to realize that anti-Semitism, it's not a Jewish problem. It's an Australian problem. It's a global problem that we need to solve.
Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.